Welcome to the boss guide for Watcher Irideus in Halls of Infusion. This is probably one of the most challenging dungeon bosses of the season, especially on higher keys, so let's talk about the best strategies to deal with it. The most important mechanic to understand here is Power Overload, which will place a debuff on 3 non-tank players. The debuff ticks for damage every second, but when it expires or is dispelled, it leaves behind a puddle on the ground. This puddle deals a lot of damage, so it's crucial to move out of it quickly. What I see in a lot of pugs is people spreading out to different areas of the room to place their puddles. Now, the WoW instinct, of course, is to do this, but the correct play is to actually stack them up together and let them expire, or to use a Priest's Master Spell to remove the buff immediately. Stacking up the puddles doesn't deal increased damage, so keeping everyone close by for organization and for AoE healing is definitely the right play. Again, to summarize, you should stack up when Power Overload is applied to the group, and then use Master Spell or wait for the debuff to expire. Then you should escape the puddles as quickly as possible. Watch here, we're stacked as a group, waiting for the cast, the Priest Master Spells, and we run. This is the right time to use any movement abilities you may have, such as Blink or Fell Rush, etc. Be aware that when you stack up, if any player dispels themselves, or if the healer dispels someone early, it will cause one of the puddles to spawn, and you don't want to do this. You want the puddles to expire at the same time. The boss will cast 2 other abilities on the party in its main phase. Static Surge is AoE damage onto the party. There will be 4 total ticks of damage, and it can be quite heavy on tyrannical weeks, so be prepared if you're a healer. There are a couple very nasty overlaps with Power Overload and Static Surge, where the Static Surge is casting as people are running out of the puddles. This is a good time to use your healing cooldowns and defensive personals. The boss will also cast Spark Volley periodically, which will chase players around with small spark puddles raining down from the boss. As with most mechanics on this boss, you want to stay together and move as a group, to avoid players running in front of or on top of each other. When the boss reaches 15% health, he'll go to his intermission phase and become immune to damage. While in this phase, he will channel Siphon Power, which increases his nature damage dealt by 2% every second. This caps at 20 stacks. To break his shield and stop the phase, you should bring these ball things onto the boss. When they reach low health, they'll cast Nullifying Pulse in a circle around them, and getting 3 of these to hit the boss will remove his shield and stop the intermission phase. Couple notes here. Try to stun or stop the Purifying Blast as it puts a debuff on players, and also don't stand in the Nullifying Circle. The general idea is you want this phase to be over as quickly as possible, as the damage increase is permanent. There are 2 main ways to go about the rest of this fight. You can use Bloodlust during the intermission to kill the adds as quickly as possible, or you can choose to use Bloodlust after the intermission so that the second phase is over as quickly as possible. Whichever you choose, be aware that the boss will be dealing increased damage in Phase 2. Additionally, the puddles dropped by the Power Overload debuff will be larger with each stack of Siphon Power that the boss gained during the intermission. As a group, we discussed beforehand that we would Bloodlust in Phase 2 instead of the intermission, and we would save our major movement abilities for the larger puddles that happen in Phase 2. So you see here the Druid use Stampeding Roar on the first one, and I will use Windrush Totem on the second one. Again, be prepared with your healing cooldowns as the damage is very high during this part of the fight. One last thing to note here is that if you have a Warlock in your party, using the Demonic Gateway is actually a really good way to get yourself out of the puddles. Maybe the best way to do so. I hope you found this guide helpful. As always, if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and good luck.